Got
than
it.
most of the other services.
So let's talk about sort of comparing the delivery robot to obviously, where how most folks deliver right now would be a human driver. Like the actual product is a delivery robot, but there's a human controlling that. How does the actual
Mhm.
product work on the delivery robot side?
Yeah, so we have a pretty extensive pilot training course. So if you want to
Mm,
work for Coco, you need a certain amount of equipment and internet connection, all this kind of stuff to be able to like technically do the job. And then you go through Pilot Academy, and once you graduate from Pilot Academy, and we actually have a pretty like not everyone graduates from Pilot Academy because it's not easy to drive these
mm.
robots, right? I mean, people have been driving cars for a long time, and they'll sign up and
Yeah.
drive for Uber Eats. So driving for a robot is quite different. We found a lot of success with people who like grew up playing video games or might
Video
still play video
gamers. Yeah.
games. Your coordination with the screen and a controller is pretty good. So once
And
you
where do
graduate from
you where
that,
do
you
you
start
hire
doing
people from? Are they based in the US or all around the world, or because it sounds
they
like
they
it's a
can
remote job?
yeah they can be anywhere. So we do hire people everywhere. We have some in LA, we have some in California, we have some across the country. It started with, I mean, it was me and my co-founder doing all the deliveries, and then
Yeah.
we invited his girlfriend at the time lived next door, and we got all of her roommates to help us drive, and then it started going to a bunch of students at UCLA were doing it, and then they would invite their college friends who might be different parts of the country.
Yeah.
And that's how it started growing, and so it grew like by referrals a lot, and it's a really cool job because you're
Yeah.
basically getting paid to play a video game. You see a lot of interesting things like by
Yeah.
being a pilot, and they have a really good like. There's a lot of good like camaraderie on that team. Like we use Discord a lot for communications when people are on shifts together, um, and people like off shift will just literally hang out in there together, and they've never
Yeah.
met each other. Like these are just, but they're really bonded by that experience. They go through Pilot Academy together in batches, and it's pretty cool community. Like a lot of the
Yeah.
culture at Coco actually comes from pilots and how energetic they are, which is really cool.
Yeah, no, it definitely seems like an interesting job. I might have to talk to you offline about getting me to go through this pilot training and seeing how I do.
Happy to.
I kind of imagine I'm not going to be very good, but I'm curious. Do you see a lot of crossover between like actual real life gig drivers and or gig workers and folks coming through your pilot academy?
Yeah, we have some, and I definitely like would this isn't something we haven't had trouble hiring pilots. So it's not something we've marketed, but
Yeah.
for anyone that is a gig economy driver, like I would we would love to
Yeah,
chat
I
with you about
imagine that there's
driving.
definitely some synergies and some things, that would sort of help you out, right? If you've kind of experienced it on the driver's side to also then go, a bit of a learning curve, but I imagine there's some cool synergies.
Yeah, I mean the fundamentals are the same. The way you're doing it is a little bit different, but at the end of the day, it's like every minute matters. You're trying to get it to the
Yeah.
customer pretty quickly. You know how to do this whole integration with the restaurants and the handoff and working with restaurants. Um, so yeah, I mean, but there's a lot of other roles too that we've hired people locally from who might be coming from the gig economy jobs. Um, we have like local mechanics, right? So they have
Hmm.
to actually do the quality inspections, repairs, maintenance, assembly of new robots. So we hire those into each new. We hire these are robot technicians in each new market. We have
Yeah.
field operations team, who's like the backbone of the service. They are there to make sure that everything goes well, and if there's something that goes wrong with the robot, it breaks down or something, they're there to save the day. And
Yeah.
so and they do regular like service checks on the robots. They'll be making sure the batteries are charged. So we hire a lot of these teams in each of these markets. There's a lot of work that goes into
Yeah.
managing the service too. That's not just
Yeah.
pilots.
Well, I guess it's interesting because you sort of have a lot of the same roles and responsibilities as, a fleet of any type of vehicles. I mean, I've done quite a bit of work, charging scooters. And, with scooters, you had the chargers like me, you had the mechanics, you had the people, that were like rebalancing, and then the people that had to, then if they do swappable batteries, it's sort of a lot. There's actually quite a bit that goes into it. If we focus on, so someone who's actually, I'm curious, now you got me curious because I might actually want to try driving one of these delivery robots. What am I driving one at a time, or do I have sort of five going on at once, or what's the actual product? Do they have some sort of like semi-autonomous features where they're kind of driving, and then if they bump into, or if they look like they're going to bump into something, human needs to take over? Or like, imagine I sit down at my computer or whatever it is, and what's my day going to look like?
Yes, yeah. So we've built the whole product of piloting around the pilots, and we try to use technology to help quality. I mean, the first and foremost, is about helping quality. So these are like
Yeah.
the basic features you'd have in your car, like
Hmm.
helping you keep on the sidewalk,
Yeah.
emergency braking systems.
Blind
identifying
spot detection.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's these sort of things to make driving easier, but that also makes you more reliable and consistent and faster
Yeah.
generally. So it's good. It's good for everybody. And it takes a lot of like the most boring parts of the job, like going straight out of the equation. But one thing, like the way we can be so cost effective is we remove all of the slack from the system. So drivers have to drive to a restaurant and then they have to wait for the food. They have to pick up the food, drive to the customer, wait for the customer, and then go find another job to do. We can, all of those waiting, all those things that are not driving to the customer or driving back to a restaurant, those are all removed. So, waiting at the restaurant, that pilot's doing a different delivery. Waiting at the customer, that pilot's doing a different delivery. We use the trip back to the restaurant a lot of times for new pilots for training. So there's a lot of efficiencies we can get from the system that are not related to autonomy or anything like that. And then we use these technologies to try to give them higher leverage use of their time. So like a huge percent of driving is going straight. And by the way,
and that's the easy part usually, right? Going straight is the easy part. It's usually the pickup, the drop off, when challenging, something comes in the road, that's when, you sort of want the human in charge. It can kind of easily handle those situations.
Yes, exactly. And so you want them, like from a product perspective, it's an interesting product challenge because they need to be able to context switch around and know what to do and problem solve. But then you're trying to give like, make sure that their time is doing the important tasks and not like, traveling this section of the block. And so these are kind of like basic driver assistance features where the pilot's never like leaving the delivery, but they're getting like their cognitive load basically goes down so they can kind of do multiple things at once and they can spend most of their energy on solving, street crossing or like, like you said, like driving to the parking lot of the merchant and making sure it's delivering to the customer where it's out of the public right away and it's not disruptive. So they're constantly switching and doing a lot of those tasks.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's sort of semi-autonomous with a human teleoperation, if we're going to be a lot of words, but I think that's sort of the gist of it. I mean, how do you feel about